Hi, in this video, I'm going to show you how you can move your Bookkeeper 2005 or Bookkeeper 2007 from MudPie Creations to the newest version of Church BookKeeper 3.1. Okay, if you have an really old version of Bookkeeper, you probably have lots of contributions and contributors that you would like to move over to the new software. So the first thing you would do is install the Church BookKeeper 3.1, the newest version, on your computer. You may have purchased a new computer, and so you may have the old Bookkeeper app on your older computer, and you may have the newer Church BookKeeper application on your new computer. And so I happen to have both the old and the new installed on the same computer, but you can easily move it from one computer to another as well. So when you purchase the newest version of Church BookKeeper, you would simply run through the installation, following all of the instructions as it installs, and then you would launch Church BookKeeper, the newest version, and make sure that it runs okay. So if you have any kind of error, like a unable to connect to database error, then you'll need to troubleshoot that before you can move on. So notice I have Church BookKeeper running, but when I click on record contributions from the main screen, there are no contributors and there's no contribution information. So I want to get my data from my old version into the new one. So I'm going to close the Church BookKeeper app, the newest version, and it will prompt me to make a backup of my database. So just to be safe, so that if anything goes awry, we can restore back to this point right after our install, we're going to choose yes. And that will create a backup of our empty database for the new version. Okay, I'm also going to close that file window, and I'm also going to close the older version of Bookkeeper. So next I'm going to right click on the icon for the old version of Bookkeeper, and I'm going to choose Open File Location. If you have a older version of Windows, it may be called Find Target. So it's either Find Target or Open File Location. So when you choose that, that will take you to a file window where the old version of Bookkeeper is installed. So all of my files are in alphabetical order by name, but I am going to look for only files that are of type MDB. So if I click on the type column header, that will sort all of the files by type, and that makes it easy to find all the ones that are of type MDB. So you can see I have a number of files here dating back from 2005. There's a file for each year that I've used the app, and there's also a Bookkeeper MDB. And then also there's an empty MDB. We don't need to copy that one. So I'm going um, to show you how I would move these from one computer to another. If both of the apps are installed on the same computer, then you wouldn't need to do this step, but let me show you how to do it just in case you're moving to a new computer. You'll need a USB drive. So I have a USB thumb drive that's connected to my computer. So if I go to File Explorer, you can see that my USB drive is drive E. So I'm going to click on that. Your drive letter might be F or G or H. It just depends on the type of drive that you have. Okay, so I'm going to copy each of the MDB files from my Bookkeeper file window to my USB drive. So to do that, I'm going to click on the first MDB file that's listed for the very first year that I began using the older version. And then I'm going to hold the Shift key down and I'm going to select the last MDB file that's listed here. I'm not going to select empty MDB, so I'm going to do all the years plus Bookkeeper MDB. So my Shift key is held down on my keyboard, and I'm going to just single click on Bookkeeper MDB. So that has selected all of the files. So next I'm going to right click on any of the files here, and I'm going to choose copy from the menu that is displayed. Then I'm going to go back to my USB drive file window. I'm going to right click anywhere there's not a file or a folder, and I'm going to choose paste. And that will copy all the MDB files to my USB drive. Okay, so then I would disconnect this USB drive and I would connect it to the computer where the newer version of Church BookKeeper is installed. So I can now close this file window, and I'm going to go to the computer that has the newer version of BookKeeper installed, which happens to be the same computer here for my demonstration. Okay, so next I'm going to use the import Bookkeeper data utility, and to find that I can click on the Windows um, start bar, choose all apps, and then find the M's for MudPie Creations. And if I look in the list there should be a import Church BookKeeper data utility there. I can also find that by going to the Windows search bar and typing import. And before I can even type the word church, it's displayed here, import Church BookKeeper data. So that's what I want to select. And again, I'm on the new computer or the computer that has the newest version of Church BookKeeper installed. So I'm going to click on Import Church BookKeeper Data, and that will launch the import utility. Okay, so it tells me that this will import data from Bookkeeper 2007 or earlier versions like Bookkeeper 2005 to Church BookKeeper 3.1. So the first thing I need to do is select the location of my data. Since my older version is installed here on the same computer, it has looked in the Bookkeeper folder and it has already found all my files. However, if you had just moved to a brand new computer, this list would be empty. So I'm going to show you how you would find it from the files that we just copied to the USB drive. So I'm going to choose the Browse button, and then I'm going to select my USB drive. So I'll press the OK button, and it found the files from Drive E. I have my bookkeeper settings and contributor information. I want to make sure that stays selected. But then also notice it has all of the files for all the contributions for all the years that I've used the older version, 2005 to 2018. Okay, so I'm not going to import all of these years worth of contributions. If I had a building pledge campaign, I would definitely want to import all of the contributions. If my campaign was ongoing, I would want to start it from the year that the campaign started. I would want to make sure I have all the contributions imported. So let's say I have a building pledge that began in 2015. I would want to make sure that I import all the contributions for 2015, 16, 17, and 18. But if you don't have an ongoing building pledge campaign, you probably only want to import 2 or 3 years worth of data. You can always access the data for the previous years on your older version of Bookkeeper, or you can also hold on to those MDB files on your USB drive, and so you could import it if you found that you needed it. But it's just better not to import too much data, because the more you have in, then the slower things will run. So I'm going to choose Unselect All, and I'm going to select the bookkeeper settings and contributor info again by clicking the box. And then I'm only going to choose 2016, 2017, and 2018. So that'll give me the last 3 years plus my contributor information. And all the other boxes I'm going to leave unchecked. Okay, so next I'm going to choose the Import Data button. I'm going to press that. And it's going to ask me if I've made a backup copy of my database. That's on the new Church BookKeeper app, which we did. We already made that backup. So we're going to say yes, it's backed up. Then it's going to import all of the information from the files that I've selected. And depending on how many files that you chose and how much data you have in there, it can take a few minutes. Okay, and once it's finished, you can press the OK button, and then you can close the import utility. So now let's launch the newest version of Church BookKeeper. And when we go into the record contribution screen now, you can see that I now have my contributors listed and I have some contribution information displayed. If you want to get familiar with the newer version, it looks very different. You may want to click on the Getting Started link, and that will launch the Help window, and it will help you see some of the steps for getting started, and it will help you. You can look at what's new to get a list of what this version has that the older one didn't, so that way you can quickly get up to speed on the newest version.